Hello, welcome to the McEwen Brother podcast. Now, as promised, this week we have a special guest on. Krystof, welcome to the podcast. Lovely to have you about.
Thank you, Gregor. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. And, we've got you on because you've got quite an interesting backstory. We date back to uni days as friends.
That's right.
We want to maybe dive, first of all, into a bit of what you do at the moment, what you're up to, and maybe give us a bit of background to where you're at in life.
Okay, right. So, what am I up to at the moment? Well, I work for Accenture, international consulting business, in the finance department of the company. In May, it's going to be it's going to be 2 years since I got hired. It's pretty solid, but obviously that's not why you guys have me here. I have many more projects going on at the moment, and yeah, things are going pretty great. So let me just get a bit of introduction. For instance, how me and Gregor met. So we met at uni at Edinburgh Napier. I believe Gregor was one of the establishing members of the Enterprise Society. Not so sure today.
I do remember that room and being in there
Uh-huh.
with like the first meeting.
Oh right, yeah.
And going like, oh, who are all these crazy people in this guy with a big afro?
Shut up. Yeah, that's right. And so basically, after graduated, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I came across this area in Czech Republic where you could buy properties incredibly cheap, say for 10, 15,000 pounds, really cheap. And the rent was still decent. And the when I ran the numbers, at the ROI was something about 50% a year. So basically, you would have your money back within 2 years, and then from there on, it would just straight, clean cash flow. So I was like, this is amazing. So I wasn't actually planning to move back so quickly, but then I kind of miss my family, and I couldn't let this opportunity pass. So I moved back, and then I broke my leg, but I was super determined to go see this place. So with my crutches, I took a train because I didn't have a car back then. I traveled across the country to see this place. And when I arrived, it was absolutely horrible. It was not terrific, but it was just awful place with a lot of like low income people. But you didn't really feel safe. The buildings were falling apart, and I was like, okay, I'm not really sure. I want to be a slumlord, really. I mean, yeah, it's great cash flow, but you know, you do a refurb, you put in a new kitchen, and it's gonna be trashed in 6 months.
Yeah.
So then I started kind of thinking like, okay, what else can I do? Because my plan failed within the first month. Like, boom, you move a country just for this specific purpose, then you get there, and then it's all bust. And I was like, oh man, how could I be so dumb? Like, what's going on? So it was like a wake up call for me. Anyway, so that's what I did after uni, and then I went through several jobs until I found myself as an analyst. I sold real estate. I mean, so I sold property for a month for a startup, but the owners of the company wanted me to be, they want me to lie to people and sort of like win the business in any possible way. And I was like, I'm a property consultant. I don't really want to be lying to people. I want to be doing my job. And eventually, I got really bad, and I quit.
Cool. Cool. So obviously, started uni, left uni, back home. Property
Yep.
was on your mind.
Yep.
Then you find your feet in I guess a proper job in a way, proper
Yep.
company if you want to regard it as that. And you've been there for 2 years.
Yeah. Almost.
So obviously that's like the type of safe route. Do you want to dive into a bit of why did you think about property? Why was that, or what sparked your interest in property initially? Why has that been a focus post uni?
Right. So this all goes back to my first year of uni. I came across this article of this English guy who started uni, and his parents bought him a flat, and well, they just put in the down payment, and he rented out the other rooms, which would cover his rent plus it would supplement his income. And I thought, oh, come on, this is genius, you know? Like, why would I go to, I don't know, work to, I don't know, Pizza Hut, 25, 30 hours a week while you're at uni, really hectic, when, your flatmates could be covering the rent and, paying your drinks, your nights out, with guys. So I thought this is amazing. And then I was like trying to find a way how to do it. And, loads of roadblocks because I wasn't local and my parents couldn't, the bank wouldn't loan me. And also I didn't have the down payment for a flat in Edinburgh. I don't think many people fall in that category anyways.
No.
But that's why I got interested in property, because it's really low maintenance, and pretty good cash flow, and it's very safe. It's a really reliable vehicle. You just buy it and it stays there for centuries.
Cool. So you had obviously property in mind, but the last time we had a conversation, you were running a couple other things as well, which are going quite well for you, I understand. You want to dive into that?
Some are, yeah. So when I got my job at Accenture, I was thinking like, okay, what else? What can I do now? Obviously, I want to purchase a property, but it stopped being from I will spend 10 grand and I will have cash flow of, I don't know, 500 quid, or it just didn't work like that. So I was like, okay, with the money I had about, how much did I have? I think I had about eight grand, something like that, maybe 10, with the money I brought from Scotland altogether. And I was like, okay, what can I do? Because obviously I want to buy a property, but at the same time it doesn't provide me as much cash flow as I wanted. And being a business guy, that was my main focus. I didn't want to be employed, so I was like trying to find a way out as quickly as possible. And I knew when I ran the numbers that if I spend the whole thing, all the cash I have, if I spend it on one property, it's gonna really slow me down. So I was looking for ways to turn profit faster. So I opened an e-commerce business. I opened like my own website. I don't know if people do this in Scotland and the UK, but here it's very, very popular. Here you don't have so many big brands. There are some, but it's not so like centralized yet, I think. I mean, obviously we are like, the market is going there slowly. So I had a couple of ideas from when I worked in Dunfermline and in Amazon, and they had some really cool stuff which I haven't never seen in Czech Republic. So I was like, okay, I came across these really cool patches, like clothing patches. Sounds really silly, but this stuff is missing here, like completely. So I was like, okay, if I'm the only person in the country, it must sell, right? Well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I spent about, I don't know, I think, bloody hell, I feel a little ashamed, 4 or 5 grand on like product and like websites and like assistants to set it up. And yeah, you can see my stock behind me. I have this like
Well, this is a good promotional tool, so we can maybe get some sales for you.
yeah.
For
Naturalspartner.cz, come and buy.
We'll put it in the description.
Linked in the description, yeah. So I started that while I'm working at Accenture. Luckily, the job wasn't very demanding at the beginning, so it gave me a lot of time to, work with my IT person who set it up, who set up the shop. And I, with help of my friends, we selected designs we liked, we put it on the website, and it was selling fairly well. Obviously, PPC and advertisement, all this stuff, it's tough if you want to do it yourself. But if you want to hire professionals, they are very expensive. So yeah, it was selling, but I kind of lost passion for fashion because it moves so fast. You have to spend so much time on it. You don't really see it. Anyway, so I will just shut up about the first business because it's getting way too long even for me.
Is that still open, or
it is still open? Yeah. Because
Oh.
you pay like an online rent kind of to the provider who provides me the system, the payment, the payment gates and all that, the terminals. It's still open. We still get sales. I stopped buying new product, but what's going really well for me at the moment is Swedish fermented fish or rotten fish called surströmming. Not sure you heard of it, but thanks to all these YouTube videos, it became a big hit, especially here, and people are going crazy. So they buy this fish which has been, fermented, has been rotting in, I don't know, somewhere for a year or so. It smells horribly. A friend of mine asked me, "Hey, Krystof, could you try to get me this fish because you have friends like worldwide. So I was like, okay, let's try to if let's see if I can get this thing for your for dad. You know, he wanted to get him as a present for Christmas. So my friend Ben, he sent it over from Sweden, but it arrived late because he sent it. Damn it, he sent it like 17th of December. Obviously, I'm not gonna get it on the 24th. So we got it in January. My friend was like, "Hey, since it arrived late, you know, like, would you mind? Would you be, you know, would you fancy trying it out with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Like, the, the, for your idea, the can was huge. Like, you wouldn't want to open it just for yourself. It would be way
Okay.
overbased because plus this thing is quite expensive, I think. So we went to his dad's cottage and we opened it up, and it's the worst possible smell. Like, it's old socks, you know, sweaty socks. If you leave them somewhere for, it's horrible. It's like if you love fish, you're able to eat it, but if you don't like fish, you're gonna just throw up like immediately. For some reason, this became a big hit, and people buy it for, you know, baby showers. If you want to ruin somebody's wedding, and I don't know, I don't know. I had this. Mo- I had his bike gang chief or a captain show up at my door. So I was like, he was buying this stuff, and I was like, would you mind me asking? Because he you know, he came here to my house with like S-Class Mercedes, and I was like, why is this guy buying this sort of stuff? You know, like I didn't get it. So I was really curious to know. I was asking, like, would you mind telling me why are you buying this stuff? And he's like, yeah, we have a initiation of new members to the club or to the gang, and this is one of the tasks they have to do. And I was like, oh man,
Did they have to eat it?
yeah, they have to eat it. Yeah.
Oh God. Did you try it when you?
I did try, yeah. It's
What did you
awful.
think?
Well, I had bread, butter, onion, and beer just to, like, you know,
Oh no.
lower the taste.
You
So
still
it's
had it.
I had one. I managed to eat one whole fish. It's about this big. It's disgusting, honestly. The taste is so intensive. It's so intense. The taste is so intense that your I'm not kidding. I've never had this in my life. Your nose and your tongue, it doesn't know if you're eating a rotten fish or straight up shit. And you just you have to keep focused, like keep telling your brain it is fish, it is fish, and that's the only way you can like finish
Okay.
it.
Wow.
But yeah, this thing is, you know, it's gone through the roof, and I currently make in profit about 700-800 quid, which is pretty decent, you know, especially for down here.
And that's a month. Yeah.
Yeah, a month. Yeah, it's more than some people make. You know, if you have someone who works at a bakery, I make more than that passive. Plus, I have my, you know, Accenture income, which obviously I live on because I live in Prague. It's quite expensive. And yeah, and then I have one more business. There's this American startup from San Francisco, and what they're trying to achieve is they're trying to put up a global network, sort of like your 5G that, you know, 3 and T-Mobile and Vodafone have, but they try to do it differently and give opportunity to people like you and me to contribute building the network, and in return they pay you like a daily fee. So what you need is you need some capital to buy the device, and then you need access to, you know, rooftops and high up places where you install
Okay.
it. It doesn't take any electricity, and like, I don't know, 10 quid a year, yeah, like nothing.
Wow.
It needs to be connected to the internet. The project's called Helium. It's global. It works in the UK. I checked. You guys have like loads of hotspots in Edinburgh as well.
I'll do it.
Yeah, you can look it up a little later on. It's quite exciting, and the profitability used to be crazy. There's a guy in Slovakia who started last year, and he made 1.2 million dollars in a year with about 20 devices. And just for idea, one device is about 500 euros, so that'll be like, I don't know, 450 quid. So this guy made a killing. Now you know, now the RI is not like you're gonna make your money back in 2 weeks. Now it's like
Okay.
you're gonna make your money within like a year, but still that RI, you know, strictly speaking, it's still great in terms of, you know, profitability. So that's what I'm up to. You know, what I've been focusing on the past, I don't know, 3-4 months. We were looking for suppliers because this thing is like sold out. You know, if you want to get it, you have to go on a waiting list for 6 months, or you buy it off eBay or Gumtree for, you know, overpriced.
Wow. How much would you pay for one of these devices?
So when we started, we were getting it off, you know, Gumtree, Czech version of Gumtree, and we were you get official price for the device is about, as I said, 400-500, yeah, quid. We were paying 1,300
Wow.
or more. So yeah, for the first device, I think we even paid like 1,500. Yeah, it was nuts. But we wanted to, we wanted to get in the game, and this was the cost of the opportunity. So, you know, you don't want to, blow your 5 grand and then wait for it 6 months and then see if it really works. You want to just, micro test it. So
Yeah.
that's what we did. And currently, uh, we have ordered about 200 devices, out of which about 50 are, up and running, and the rest we are still waiting for the supplier to provide. To
And
send.
that's 20. Sorry, did you see 20? Yeah.
I said 200.
200. Oh
Yeah,
God, that's
yeah.
when you say 200, I think there'd be 20 just popping in my head, going like that's logical. So that's 200 at the price it is at the moment, basically, is what you're saying.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Or a mix of that.
Wow.
Yeah, we went kind of berserk into that. I have to say I don't feel like super super confident after going in and like straight in, full on dive. We took out loans and borrowed some money from our friends and family. So this has to work. But before going in, we made calculations, and you always should do whenever going into any venture, best case, likely case, and worst case scenario. And we know that even with the worst case scenario, and okay, the worst case scenario is not the thing going bust. If the thing goes bust, we are screwed. But we really hope that, given there is about 50 manufacturers who make these devices, and currently there is about 750,000 devices deployed around the world, we really hope that this thing will just not just go bust like that,
Yeah.
So hopefully this will take off, and we have some really nice projected cash flow. And if this works out, maybe I can take you guys to Bali or something.
Well, let's set that in writing after this. But
All right, let's go.
Yeah, gonna
Like Gregor and Jamie to Bali 2023.
Okay, so because obviously this is the first time obviously meeting yourself. It's very nice to obviously learn about what you're up to and what you're doing. Obviously you and Gregor did business at university. What sort of tips would you have for beginners? Obviously I'm a little bit younger, 21.
Mhm.
Obviously just looking to
Excellent
get into
age, man. Fantastic.
to get into sort of this sort of industry. What would you recommend, or what would you say to a beginner? When you were 21, what would you say to yourself when you were 21 that you would do now if you could go back?
If I could go back, gosh, I would probably, I would definitely tell myself, don't wait, because, you know, when I was 20, I don't know what age I was when I was in my first year, but I should have been doing more stuff rather than just reading about it. I feel like I attended property conferences. I've been to Rich Dad Poor Dad, real estate like property conference in Edinburgh, on Queen Street, I think it was. And I knew about all this stuff, and the people were there. I could take their contacts and their business cards, and I didn't, because I had this like mindset. I'm young, like I have to wait to get in the game. And I met this guy Aslan in Newcastle, and he started when he was 17. He's 21 now, and he's making like 100 grand from his rent business. Yeah, I can connect you guys if you are interested, or you can just follow him on Instagram. So it's definitely possible. So I would definitely say, stop researching so much. Get up and start doing stuff. Start speaking to people, and don't be afraid to screw up, because you're gonna screw up. So I mean, don't focus on screwing up. Yeah, put your ego aside, yeah, and just go for it. Go for it. Stop waiting. I'm not saying take all your granny's money and put it on one thing, and but start doing something, even like low scale, like, And the best advice I would give you, and I would give anyone at any age, is, and this is not really easy, but this is a golden, this is a gold nugget for me. If you can find somebody who's into business, who genuinely like likes doing stuff or making money, or just flip, like a hustle,
Yeah.
just like doing random stuff in order to make a profit,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. If you find someone who is also into it, on the same level as you, or higher, obviously even better, then you won, because you have someone to share all these experiences with, and someone who can relate to you. And And I've been on this, I've been on this journey for bloody hell, maybe 4 years. I've been doing like Amazon arbitrage in Edinburgh, and I didn't have anyone to speak to, so I was just going solo, solo, solo. And I would speak to people, and they'd be like, yeah, cool, but they would never, get in the thing with me, or
Yeah.
so it's not easy. But once, finally, after like 4 or 5 years, I met a guy here when we went surfing, and he's also in corporate job. He's 31. He's a little older than me, but he's got the same mindset. He wants to you know
Hustle, make that extra
yeah,
buck.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
he wants to leave his job and have like freedom of time and location, and it's working really well, because sometimes you're not feeling it. That's the thing. You're not always like hustle motivation.
Yeah.
But when I'm not, for example, when I get sick, he's able to reply all these emails. He's able to pick up the phone, and when he's not feeling great, I can do it for him. So it's really great if you can split the responsibilities and have someone like-minded to just vibe with.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's like a partner in crime. You
It
can find
is, yeah.
somebody to bounce ideas off. I always remember going down Stockbridge in Edinburgh when you're doing your Amazon arbitrage
That was
stuff.
ridiculous. Yeah, but charity shops really good for arbitrage.
Yeah, this like crystal vase thing, or like a almost like a glass, and you're
2
like,
seconds.
let's go and get it. You've got it.
Oh, what? Is this? Was he trying to flip it, or?
Yeah, you got it. No way. You still got it.
Because nobody wanted to buy it for, I don't know, 200 quid that I was selling it for, and then I then I moved out and I was like, okay, I'm not selling it for 10 quid because it looks really lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is it's not Swarovski crystal, but it's some different brand of crystal, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So picture this scene, Jamie. We're walking down Stockbridge in Edinburgh, and
Yep.
this is in the window of the charity shop.
Okay.
And Krystof like, look at this. Let's go in and get it. And I'm just like, I don't know what this is. Let's go and get it. So I buy it at the time, and then Krystof takes it back, and he's still got it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's an ashtray or what exactly is it. Is it just like
Ashtray
rich
type
people
makes
buy
sense.
this in their house and put it on the table? I don't know if it has an actual function, but it looks pretty, and I was hoping to resell it for way more than
So is it still for sale?
yeah, it will be on eBay tomorrow. Link in description.
Yeah, link in the
Yes.
description.
Uh,
That's brilliant, though. How you've
it's
still
crazy
got
to
that.
remember this, Gregor. Honestly, wow.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm.
I was just gonna say, like, obviously, you've obviously done quite a lot. So, like, in 4 years, you've done a lot of different things. What's been like the hardest step to take, or like the hardest part of the journey? And then also, Gregor's obviously told me you've been obviously in the housing market, and you have done a flip.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to obviously hear about that. But obviously, start off with sort of the hardest part of the journey.
Okay, cool, Jimmy. So the hardest part, and I hope my boss isn't listening. The hardest part, honestly, I'm not kidding. The hardest part for me till today, I mean, it's going up and down, but the hardest part of the journey for me, it's been keeping my job. Not in the sense that they would want to sack me, but in a sense of showing up every day, Monday to Friday, for 9 hours or 8 hours, and putting in the work. My friend, my business partner Philip, he made a really nice what do you call it, like a comparison. I don't know the proper like
Analogy?
analogy. Excellent analogy. So he said, when you work on your own business, for instance, I forgot to mention, so my rotten fish business makes me 800 quid a month, and I spent about 2 hours, 3 hours a week on it, compared to my regular income, which is about, I can tell you, it's about 1350. Yeah. So, but I spend at my work like 45 hours every week. So if you calculate an hourly wage, my business is like making me 4 times the hourly rate. So so it's so the analogy is going to work is like digging or mining coal, whereas working on your own business is like digging gold. So it's like it really pisses you off if you have to be working for somebody else's coal, where you could be getting your own gold in the other mine. See?
I've never heard that one before. That's so good.
That's a good one. I think I really like this. I feel very like able to relate. Like, so as Gregor in our last sort of podcast we've talked about, we had a challenge. I don't know if Gregor talked to you about this. Our dad gave us a challenge last year, to have £1,000, see who can make the most money within a year. So give us all £1,000, and we had to basically just do what you could with it. And
Awesome.
I started buying and selling golf clubs,
Nice.
and I within like probably about 4 months turned £1,000 into 3,000 while in between doing working and university. So
You got a champion right there.
but I,
Wow.
We do.
I was quite happy with that, and I think I'm in the same boat as where I'm working now to bring in the paycheck, but looking to start doing stuff that's similar to yourself. So it's like really refreshing to hear someone that's doing working and obviously side businesses, and to show it's possible.
It is possible.
It's good for the listeners as well. So if you're listening to this and in a similar boat where you've done these sort of things, Gregor, do you want to provide the audience with a bit of insight to what you did with your £1,000?
I'm embarrassed to say in front of
You
Krystof.
just spent it all on booze and hookers, eh? It's alright, at least you had some fun, eh?
Yeah. Currently sitting in a bank account, not doing anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did spend I spent probably about 45 about that £45 paying for talk about hosting, Krystof, like a website hosting and
Yeah.
for payment and stuff. So basically somebody's running a deal for this website which allows you to basically have literally lifetime membership to host a website.
Okay.
And I can create unlimited websites. So I just spent £45 on that with basically testing the waters of ideas. But yeah, not that motivational or entrepreneurial. So yeah.
Right. Well, it certainly isn't easy. If you have and especially when you have an office job, when you have to use your mind. You have to think all day, every day. It's much more difficult. I remember myself when I worked at the Amazon warehouse in Dunfermline. It is physically demanding job, but you have 10 hours of thinking. The job is super easy. So after 3 weeks, you just walk there like a zombie, and you get to think about your own things. So and you actually get really good business ideas while you're there as well, how to like optimize things, because otherwise you have to think about something, otherwise you go mental.
Good point.
It go nuts. So
how's your property business doing now? Your investments there, what's your current situation, and maybe do you have a future plan?
Sure.
We're going to house as well, the flip.
Okay, the flip. Right. Are you guys going to ask me about my biggest regret, or is it or should you just mention it?
Dive in. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, dive in. Okay, so I think my only regret, apart from not starting earlier, which is not an easy thing to do, is I should have used all like the money the bank is willing to lend me. I should have used all of it 2 years ago, but I wasn't so sure, and I didn't want to spend all my money on the down payments. So instead of buying 2 flats in this area where I buy properties, I bought just one in terrible condition, 1960s, and I did a full refurb. If I have bought 2, I would have made, bloody hell, I would have made about 100 grand, year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nuts. Well, the property market,
Yeah, of course,
through the roof, all over Europe, from what I heard. So I wish I have had more balls and I just spent it all. But if you're buying something so big, because before the most expensive thing I bought was like, I don't know, man, my car, which was like 1,500 quid. It's nothing, yeah. And then all of a sudden we are buying something that is worth I don't know, 50 grand. It's a big jump,
Yeah.
it's really tough to comprehend until you're about to do it, So I wish I have bought 2 flats instead of one, because there was one in the neighboring building. So it would be super safe. I would have 2 flats right next to each other, and I could do the refurb at the same time, maybe with the same company. I would get cheaper rates, from the contractor and everything. But that's the thing. See, I didn't have anyone in my family who has done a flip or BRR project. I have no one in my family. Well, my granny is renting they have like a little garden house they built for when they are like old and they cannot walk up the stairs. They are 83 now, and they can still walk the stairs. So they are renting it out. But they had only like really bad experience. So I didn't want to really go for them for advice because they would be like, "Oh, Krystof, don't do it,"
Yeah.
And you really have to protect your idea and your drive. You really have to protect it. Like, if you just go around like negative people and and you just keep telling them your ideas or your dream or whatever, you're just gonna like waste it all off on them, and then nothing's gonna stay inside. So you're gonna like focus on yourself. So I did the full refurb. I budgeted about 10 grand. And I was hoping, okay, I will stay within the budget, and if I have like 2 grand left, I will go to Bali or Thailand, and I will go surf and have a good time.
Nice. Yeah.
What happened is that the companies were incredibly more expensive than I thought. I spent all the money, and I still had about half the work to do. So I was like, oh bloody hell, what do I do now? So every month I would just like. Luckily, it was COVID, so I couldn't spend so much, going out with guys and stuff. So
Yeah.
I was at home. I would work. I would cook my own meals. I still have no idea how I did it. The first year when I was doing this project, I went maybe like 3 times to a restaurant. I have no idea how I did it. Now I go to a restaurant. I don't know. I go all the time because I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I don't have either. I don't know, mental capacity, or I'm lazy, or I don't know. I just don't have time to cook and think about what I'm gonna cook, because you have to go to the grocery store. You have to get the right stuff, and then you have to cook it. It's much easier to get something really cheap and fast somewhere
Yeah,
in the
of
city.
course.
So I don't know how I did it, but I was like saving everything. I would honestly, I wouldn't drive if I didn't have to. I would save all the money, and all I had, I would then go. I would go to like a hardware store, and I would buy the supplies, and then I would drive to this other city, which was about. I bought a flat which was hour and a half drive away from where I live, and I went there every weekend. So instead of going for a holiday or going to see my family, I would spend every weekend there for half a year, with the exception of like 3. I still don't understand where I got this determination, but when you have this property and it's not occupied, you're just losing money because you have to pay the mortgage, and you have to pay all the association fees, or the fees of the building.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. Then I painted the thing myself. I redone the tiles on the balcony, and so many things I done myself. I built the kitchen from scratch. Never done it before. My dad's never done it. My granddad, he has experience, but it's really difficult when somebody describes you how to do it over the phone rather than show you. So that was challenging. I had a couple of friends show up and help me with the demolition, taking apart the old kitchen and stuff. So it's been great, and thanks to saving a lot of money, I managed to pull it off for about, I don't know, 12 or 13K. Yeah, yeah. But honestly, for
Wow.
the 6 months, all money I had left over, I just spent it on the flat. And luckily, I was able to rent out the flat as the most expensive flat in the whole city in that category. Yeah, yeah. People were like,
Wow.
It's so expensive. Like, why do you have it so expensive?" And I was like, "Well, look around. It's beautiful." And then I got this graphic designer. It's really, really lovely lady. I really thought she's flirting with me because she really wanted to get the flat, and she was really worried that someone else will take it. And I don't know, maybe I kind of let her flirt with me, and she got the flat. My flatmates were like, "Whatever you do," I live with 2 girls here. They were like, "Whatever you do, don't sleep with her." And I was like, "Why not? She's really cute." They're like, "If you sleep with her, she will stop paying you rent because she will think that she's paying you with sex." And I'm like,
I
"Whew,
see.
well, then she would have to be very, very, very expensive lady because rent is not cheap." So it's like,
Yeah.
I support. Oh yeah, I'll just cut this. Cut this. Too much. But anyway, she's been paying rent, every month on time, and she's really nice, really tidy, and
So good.
she has guys wrapped around her finger. So whenever she needs something, they just kind of do stuff for her. So great for me. I don't have to, fix the fridge or the washing machine. I don't have to do nothing.
So good.
Pretty
So
good.
good. So
Touch wood.
I think the last time we had a conversation, you were thinking about another property. Do you want to dive into that, or what's
Sure.
the situation now?
Yeah. I think this will be really exciting stuff for everyone who's listening, especially for people who want to get in property. Um, this thing is fairly common. This product is fairly common in the UK because you guys are really lucky. You have really creative financial system, and the bankers are amazing because your bankers really like to make money. Bankers here like to follow the rules and make the money, but first they want to follow the rules.
Okay.
So it's more difficult to combine things and twist things, things like that. So, for instance, in the UK, if you find a good deal, a good property that is fairly cheap, and you can show the bank that you can cover the mortgage payment with some surplus, let's say 20, 30, 40%, they will just give you the money for the property. Probably after you have one or two properties of your own, but this is how it works. Here is the opposite. Here, if you find an excellent property and you don't have the income to support the payments, and obviously you will eventually run out, even if you make 3, 4, 5 grand, you eventually run out, because they will be like, okay, so you make 5 grand, but your mortgage payments are 3 grand, and we will not loan you anymore because you have to live off something. And what if you lose your job? So they want to be covered, even though you're paying the mortgage from the rent. So I got lost myself here a little bit. So you cannot do this, for instance, here. But going back to my second property, I managed to purchase it absolutely free. Like, I didn't have to put any cash of my own into it. Theoretically speaking,
Wow.
I had to pay the reservation fee. That's all I did, which was about 2.5K. Yeah, not
Okay.
much, not much. So
Yeah.
I just had to sell off some investments, because when you're an entrepreneur, you usually spend all the money, on yourself, as they say. You just invest everything, and then you find yourself having no money month after month after month, and you're like, "Why am I so poor when I have all these investments?" And friends are like, "Man, how come you never have money?" I was like, "Yeah, because everything is invested. I have
Yeah.
it, but it's invested." So what I did is, you know, since the first flat appreciated in value and about 25 grand in the year,
Wow.
after the year I went to the bank. It's like, hey, look, I have this flat here which I purchased with your loan, with your mortgage. Could you send an appraiser there to have a look if it's increased in value? Obviously it has, because the refurb and all that.
Yeah.
So they went in, they took photos. I met this guy. I had my lovely tenant made him tea, and he was like, "Oh, she's really lovely." And I was like, "This is so inappropriate, man. Like, where are you from?" Like, this would have never happened anywhere. I think I was like, "Okay, this is cool, but we're not friends." And she was like, "She's really nice." And I was like, yeah, she's lovely. She pays rent on time. And he was like, I don't mean it this way. I said, I mean, she's real nice. And I'm like, this is really weird, man. Come on. She's my tenant. I don't sleep with her. You're getting funny ideas there, dude. Um, anyway, so the bank said, okay, your flat is not worth, bloody hell. I have to, like, all the numbers I have in my head, I have to change it into pounds for the listeners. So say it was 50 grand, and now it's about 100. So yeah, 50 increase.
Wow.
And the bank said, okay, it's worth about 80, because they never give you the retail value. They never appraise it for what you could sell it for, because they want to be safe. If
Yeah.
the market goes bust,
Yeah.
they have the money loaned out. So, and they were like, okay, so there's a buffer, there's a spread of about, I don't know, 20, 30K, and you can use this money. And I was like, okay, excellent. So I went around, I asked the bank, I said, okay, look, this is my income. This is my income. This is my income from my fish business, and this is my rent. Like, I've been getting rent for, I don't know, 5 months, not for the full year. So they will discount it. They will be like, okay, because they only count your like tax returns once a year, right? So if you start your business in September, they will only count the last few months, and then they will
Yeah.
spread it in 12. So your monthly income will seem lower than it actually is.
Mhm.
So I found a flat. They wouldn't loan me as much as before, obviously, because I I used some of the loanability. And I found a smaller flat. The one before was like one bed, so you had a bedroom and living room and a kitchen. This one is like, you have a separate kitchen and one room where you like
Okay.
live and sleep. This is a smaller flat. It's kind of like
Did
a
you
studio.
did you find like you spent more time searching the first property compared to the second?
Good question. Good question. Probably about the same.
Yeah.
Probably the same. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. The thing is, when I was buying the first property, the ROI was much higher because the prices were really low. So all the
Of
deals
course.
seemed really great on paper. For the second one, I had to look around a little more, but I was quite pressed by the bank, because when I was trying to find a flat every month, the interest would increase by half of point. So
Wow.
so when I got my first mortgage, my interest is like 2.5% a year, which is
Okay.
nothing.
Yeah.
And then it was going 3.5, 4, and I was like, oh my god, like if I cannot be shopping around for 3 months, because then my interest will be 6%, and if my yield is 6%, then I'm basically like making no money.
Yeah.
So I went to see like a couple of flats, and I got this one. It's not optimal, but it's the best one I could find, and it's already refurbed, so I don't have to worry about spending time on it, and I can focus on other things,
Cool.
which
Okay.
is which is great. Obviously, if you have time, it's the best. If you are shopping around, if you have time, if you don't have full time job, you can go on all the viewings. It's really
Yeah.
tough. People who maybe
Yeah.
who are at uni, or who work part time. It's really tough to if when you have full time job. So for every viewing, for every meeting with the solicitor, for everything outside work, you have to take time off, and you have to either
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
your vacation, your holidays, or you have to then go back to work and finish at 8 in the evening.
Do you
So
feel
Yeah.
like this is like a snowball going forward? Do you see yourself having so many properties in a few years, or are you just kind of more dipping your toes into many other projects at the same time? Do you have a
it's
plan as well? Is this something that
yeah.
you've always thought of, or are you just kind of winging it?
kind of thing. I have to say, every entrepreneur is doing both at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of winging it because you can never predict the outcomes, can you?
Yeah, of
No.
course.
At the same time, you have to have a vision. You have to vision which you stick to, but then you're also winging it because there are obstacles that come your way. For instance, we couldn't find these devices for the Helium Network yet, and
Okay.
we could only find them in South Africa and in Romania. Both really terrible options. Yeah, 'cause I don't know. You don't want to be doing business with someone who's like on another continent,
Yeah.
and also doing business with people in Romania. They are really laid back. It's like doing business with, I don't know. I don't want to sound bad, but like with somebody who's laid back, who doesn't, or there is this stereotype working with Germans or Scandinavians. It's like you send an email and you have a reply the same day or the day after.
Mm.
You send an email to Italy and you wait a week for a reply. And with our counterparts in Romania is the same. For
Right.
instance, yeah, we come to pick up the product. We wanted to make like good networking with them. We wanted to meet our supplier, have like a relatability, like have a personal connection with them. So we went
Yeah.
there. We met their dog and their wives and all that. They were really nice. But on Thursday, when we were able to pick up our first 47 devices, they were missing on the invoice our VAT registration number. You know, and we just asked him, could you please add it? And then this
Yeah.
guy called his accountant, and because these people, I mean, in Romania it's very common that if you have a successful business, you give job to your cousins and to your family. People like sort of support each other. Which is great, but there is an issue with that because sometimes you have to employ people who are not so competent. So his accountant was this like 70 or 80-year-old dude who would not reply like phone calls or emails. So adding the VAT number was a process of waiting in their office for 4 hours. Literally, I'm not kidding. You can add this in like 2 minutes. And in the end, he still had no reply from the accountant because the accountant sent back the invoice. It was like wrong. So what he had to open Photoshop or like some PDF Photoshop thing, and he had to like copy paste the VAT number and he put it in a different font. And I was like, dude, like if they stop us at the border, it will seem super fake and we'll go to jail because it's totally different font. And he's like, man, but I don't want to wait here another 4 hours. Let's go. And I was like, okay, let's go. So yeah.
Cool.
So what was your question? I kind of got sidetracked again.
Yeah. So, future-wise, do you think you'll have
Oh, the
more
flats. Okay, I'm back.
flats?
Hey, definitely. I don't know if you know any important people in property. There's Samuel Leeds from
Yeah.
England and other people, and they always mention it's great to have a business and have a property at the same time. Because I realized this only later on. Property is great, it's amazing, but it's really slow. It's really slow. Like if you have 10 flats, if you have 5 flats, if you have 100 flats, you're safe and sound. Your family, your kids, everyone. But the thing is, it doesn't. Even if you have like 10-12% ROI, that's per year. Like with business, you can have 10% ROI per month. So just think about this is much bigger beast, yeah. So
Yeah.
doing property on its own, it's great, but it's not as great as doing business. And if you have business, which makes you all the profit, which you can then shift into property to sort of like stabilize it, because this is very risky. This can go bust. The politic climate can change, whatever.
Yeah.
The trends change all the time. Property never changes. People need to live somewhere. So high risk, high reward, and medium risk and lower reward, I would say, or low risk, low reward. So
Okay.
definitely, I would like to have 10 flats maybe
Nice.
in the future. Who knows? Maybe own like an apartment block. Would be great.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got your businesses, you've got the e-commerce, you've got property, your own job.
Yeah.
What's next? Is there something else that's on the cards? Like, have you got the
nice, good question, Jamie. So my I think my biggest goal for the year 2022 would be to supplement my income I make from my Accenture job, and be able to leave that, and so I get a lot of time to focus on my other businesses and the ventures. Because obviously, if you spend 40-45 hours a week at your main job, you don't have that much time and mental capacity and energy to spend on you. For instance, my fish business is doing great, but I have so many ideas that I could do to improve the website, to improve the marketing, to sell additional products to complement. I could sell like birthday packages, which would be like 3 times the price of a can, and it would be more fun for people. In This is what people want. You have to put yourself in a position, in a seat of a provider, supplier, not the consumer. You want to give experiences to people. You give somebody a flat, you want to give them a great flat, or things like that. Depends where you want to position yourself. I want to do high quality and obviously high profit things. So I would like to be able to leave my job, and I have a friend from Slovakia, Vlad. He's a rock star. He's a legend on the internet, in the Amazon FBA community.
Cool.
He started in London. Now he's in Slovakia because of his personal reasons, and he's been flipping. I mean, he made revenue last year over £1 million. Not kidding, guys.
Wow.
And he's
Okay.
like, I don't know, 20, 26. Yeah.
Killing it.
Insane. And he started in London. I don't know if he was working in a grocery shop. I don't know if he was working in a warehouse, but he started like this. I don't think he even has uni, and he's just genius. And he's got 2 groups: Amazon arbitrage income and another one. In
Okay.
each, there's about 30 grand, 30K members, and he's on there all day, every day. Last Friday, I don't know, a couple of weeks back, I'm going home from a party at 3 a.m. and I can see him and his best friend being there, like replying to people, and I'm like, wow, like this guy's really into it. So
Where are the groups? Yeah.
come again, sorry.
Is it Facebook groups or?
Yeah, this is Facebook groups. Yeah,
Nice.
arbitrage. It's Amazon arbitrage income, and the other one
Okay.
is Amazon something. And it was like, man, we wanna do some other business, because obviously I have my fish, then we have the network business, property, which is like a storage vehicle mainly. And then we were like, okay, we wanna do more, because the fish, as I said, I spend 2-3 hours on it a week, which is nothing. The the network business, we outsourced this to an external company. I didn't mention it, but we basically, it worked out great than we imagined. So we found a supplier, and we found people who have connections with all across the country, who can put us up on all these antennas and roofs. And basically, all we do is we take the stuff we buy, all the receivers, we give them to the company, and this company has partners across the country, and they just ship them out, and we just pay them like a small fee from what we get from the startup.
Wow.
We give them like, I don't know,
Wow.
20-30%, something like that.
Okay.
But we have to do nothing, which is great. I mean, it's way better. It's way better to have a smaller slice of the pie, but not
Mhm.
having to do anything. It's fantastic. And they have their, plus, even if we wanted to, I'm unable to, go up all these antennas in the wilderness to put up some boxes, especially if you have 200 of them.
Well, you would love to do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Climb antennas. Probably I would. Yeah, spot on, mate. So
Okay.
we were looking for another business,
Cool.
and we wanted to open, the jet washes that you have around the city.
Yeah.
You come in, you put in like a $5 or a couple of quid. These are incredibly profitable, but you need to have like big chunk of money to build them, because you have to buy the land, or you rent the land,
Yeah.
and you have to buy the technology, the wash boxes. So they're like,
Yeah.
okay, we cannot do it just yet, maybe later. And then we were just thinking, like, what else could we do, man? And then I said, then my friend Philip was like, hey, didn't you do Amazon, some stuff, Amazon? And when we were in Scotland, I was like, hell yeah, yeah, I did that, yeah. And how did it go? I was like, yeah, that went pretty well. And then I was like, oh, I know Vlad from Slovakia, and he's making a killing. Like, and he's like, yeah, just text him, man. Text him and invite him to Prague. Tell him we will do all inclusive. He can come. We will get Airbnb. We pay for everything. You know, we buy him dinner, lunch, whatever.
Yeah.
Massage with happy ending. Just kidding. Just kidding. So yeah, it's been really tough to get Vlad here.
Cool.
Hopefully he will come in 2 weeks. We've been onto him for 2 months. This guy is incredibly busy. So he's like,
Wow.
you text him like, Vlad, come to Prague. It's lovely here. You know, all inclusive trip. You know, we're gonna treat you like a king. And he's like, oh, Krystof, I'm so busy. Text me in a month. I text him in a month. He's like, text me in 2 weeks. I'm still really busy. But this shows, that he's someone.
That's so cool.
Cool. One of the things obviously I like, we've got our YouTube channel for our podcast. We've got our obviously on Spotify. I tried to start a YouTube channel a while back, kind of like started it and then kind of lost the interest in it. Have you ever thought about it for yourself? You've obviously got a lot of knowledge and skill set from what you've done yourself. Would you ever consider sharing this through like a YouTube channel?
I've thought about it. Yeah, Jamie, I've thought about it. I know there are so many businesses, people who make educational videos. Yeah, they make a killing, or they make lounge music, and they have like millions of views. These are the ideas, the mass market. That's what you want to do. That's where you want. If you want to make money, obviously, then you can have our second passion, YouTube channel. When I was at uni, I was like super into it, but then I was like, I could do it, but at the same time, I don't have that much experience. So I was like, what can I offer? What I could offer is I could offer to share my own personal journey. That you can do 100%, and nobody can say you're not doing it right, because you're sharing your own personal, you're like a vlogger. But if I wanted to open like a course for people to do things, I could, yeah. I could, for example, I could teach people how to do the BRR strategy, how to do flips. But considering I've done one, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't feel really confident doing that. And I don't think it would be very, very fair.
Okay.
Maybe as a businessman, I shouldn't worry about fair that much. But hey, definitely I would like to do it, but with more experience and with more time, obviously, because so maybe in a couple of years' time, when I have couple more businesses, and I have outsourced some of the work, I will take in some mentees, and I will help them build their businesses. I don't know. Honestly, it's too early. Too early for this, I feel.
So when you're like 50, you write a book, I'm guessing then.
Hopefully earlier than that. I would really like to, have like have you heard of the term FIRE?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No? I've not.
FIRE is a shortcut for a movement started in America. Stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And so once I'm fired, maybe I would think about it. I would like to be fired by the age I'm 30. I know it's very optimistic goal, but my friend Philip would like to achieve this between 35 and 40. So if I do 30 or 35,
cool.
that would be really good. But hey, this is you never know what happens. So.
And you're doing it together,
We are doing it together. Yeah.
Gregor, this is what we need to start doing.
Do you get addicted to it?
To what?
And you feel like you just want to like keep going, or is fire for you? You just continue, or do you just want to sit in Bali and go surfing?
I want to try this. I want to try because it's I don't think we choose our dreams. We just are born with it, and it's like you cannot lie to you cannot convince yourself or persuade yourself that this is not what you want, right? I can actually show you. I have a vision board here on the
cool
on the wall. Cool. Yeah, like always stand up for yourself, and postcards from my trips. And here on the wardrobe, I have like Accenture, and I made some collage with like people surfing and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is like every day you're staring at your vision board.
Not so much. I should have looked. Yeah, I should be looking at it more. But hey, so this is something I feel like I want to try, and yeah, I'm just going for it slowly, or at
Yeah,
least at the
definitely.
speed I can. And what did you mean exactly with getting addicted? I don't think I totally understood it there.
And maybe it's phrased the wrong way. Maybe obviously it's like the hustle,
Hmm.
the environment you're in, busy, you're always doing something or thinking about your next project. And like, the fire movement seems a bit like
Like
you,
that.
you do then that route to enable you to do other things. I
Hmm.
feel like you might get bored and you continue doing other things as well, which obviously
Right.
it's not like a switch, you turn it off, I guess. It's
Hmm.
more like you're still going to do other entrepreneurial ventures,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Spot on, man. Spot on. Absolutely. Whenever I tell people I would like to be fire, they always say, "Oh, what are you gonna do when you're retired? You will get bored." For me, fire is not about sipping margaritas on the beach only. That plus so many other things. You know, me, Philip, and I personally have several projects, as we say here, on paper in my drawer. And once I'm able to do them, I will do them. It's not like I wanna, just sit around and listen to, I don't know, radio and do nothing. No, I would just do
Yeah.
different projects. You would do whatever you want to do. I would probably work less. I would sleep more. I would not work Monday to Friday like 9 to 5. I would take Fridays off, or I would take Wednesdays off, or you know I would take a nap in the afternoon. And from what I heard, loads of people who are self-employed and they have businesses, this is how they live, because it's not really, I don't know.
It's a better way to live, right?
Sorry.
It's more enjoyable.
It is, yeah, exactly. It's more enjoyable if you can choose when to work. So this, for me, this is what fire is. For me, fire is choosing when you want to work. But
Cool.
obviously working, I don't. Maybe there are some people who just wanna sit on a beach, or
Maybe, yeah.
yeah. I mean, going play golf for half a year must be great, but I don't think maybe you would do it for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right with that. It's a balance.
Yeah, it's really, for all three of us, it's really difficult to imagine, like, oh man, it cannot be that bad to play golf for 3 years. I mean, no, but none of us have experienced it. And I think if we
So true.
spoke to
Yeah.
someone who's done it, maybe you would want to, I don't know, open a golf academy. Maybe you want to organize, I don't know, a championship. Maybe you would when I, like, I don't know, film an interesting, a documentary about someone from Scotland, going on a tour. And maybe it wouldn't be a documentary, it would be a film. Something would happen on going to
Yeah, yeah.
Spain, and they would steal his clubs or whatnot. And I don't know, you could do whatever you would want. Maybe Jamie wants to be a famous opera singer. You never know.
So we had a final kind of sort of question that we wanted to ask basically.
Sure.
So people beginning this journey or an entrepreneurial journey or investment journey,
Hmm.
a lot of the worry, and I think me and Jamie have the worry as well, is you're saving up all this money to then invest it, and obviously there's a risk with that. Now, me and Jamie obviously want to get onto property ladder, and I think we've maybe hold off in the past jumping into something because we feel like that's a risk that we don't want to take at this moment in time until the first property is secured.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
our question kind of relates back to, when you first started, money saved up and you're investing, and you said you wish you invested double the amount basically
Hmm.
initially.
Hmm.
Are you looking to, if somebody's starting again, or you're giving advice to somebody,
Hmm.
you want to avoid the risk or reduce the risk, but would you advise a certain amount or percentage of somebody's income to get started, or obviously depending on what they do? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. I'll start with, there's a big difference between investing in property and investing in your own idea, your own business, your own hustle. Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
Because if you blow all your money on your hustle and it doesn't work, and especially your first hustle is very likely not to go, right, because you don't have the acumen, you don't exactly know how things work, and it's really difficult to spot trends. So for a first business, I would do something that's proven. I would, as Vlad says, do Amazon, do something that hundreds or thousands of people are doing that works, you know,
Yeah.
and get your feet in the water, get your feet, in the game. And yeah, if you're spending money on property, I wouldn't really hold off, because property is great. Run the numbers. If you find something, you can send me the numbers, and I can run them as well. Um, um, yeah, I mean, it's not Zulu. Right Move. Right Move has
Yes.
has pretty good like all recent sales and these comparisons that you can look at. You can look at the rents. Obviously, then you would need to. There are a couple of more things that you need to do. You have to phone up people when you're doing your due diligence. But I could give you like a to-do list to do when you're like researching a property. And if you do, it's not much. If you do these 5 things, that I would send you on the list, then you're pretty confident. Then you're gonna rent it out for the amount it's gonna cover the mortgage. So I wouldn't be afraid of putting money in property at all.
Yeah, I think
If you're sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think me and Gregor have been in a probably like in a position for the last like over a year, Gregor. I would say, but we've been ready to sort of get into something, and there's probably been a bit of fear in both of us stepping into it. And it's obviously like I think this is so interesting to hear from someone that's obviously did the similar course to Gregor. So from my point of view, is like this, Krystof, you've done the same stuff as Gregor at university, but obviously in a very different situation. And Gregor knows fine well that Gregor's very capable to go into something appropriate himself right now.
Nice.
Gregor's got the financial backing to get into something more than myself. But we've definitely been fearful of getting into something that's maybe been wrong.
Totally understand. It's a big thing. It's a big move. It's a big purchase, and you don't want to, for your first property, I would say, don't go for something I went to. Don't go into full, BRR thing. Don't buy what they call vanilla buy to let. Buy something that is livable. Maybe it needs fresh paint. Maybe you need to paint the door. Maybe you need to put in the new number or something in a new letterbox.
Yeah.
Get in like a new fast, broadband internet. Don't buy it in terrible neighborhoods. So obviously, if you want to be profitable, you wouldn't buy a flat in New Town, I guess, or Old Town, unless you're doing Airbnb. Then it could be profitable. But I don't know. Don't go to like maybe Stenhouse. You wouldn't. I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to you. I have bad experience when I was delivering pizza there.
What's the story?
What's the story? Well, I used to work for Papa John's for maybe over a year.
Yeah.
And at the end of my Papa John's career, I earned I earned enough respect to be the delivery driver on a moped. Yeah, at the I was close to Bainfield student accommodation.
Yeah, Fountain Park, right?
Fountain Park, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And Fountain Park covers this area of Stenhouse. And once I was delivering there quite late, maybe 11 in the evening, on a weekend. And I remember I delivered this pizza, and then I'm going back to my moped. But there's this policy: whenever you stop the moped, you have to, you get the keys, and then you also have to lock the handle with the gas, so nobody can like drive off if in case they want to start with the buyers. And I'm coming back, and there's like a bunch of what do you call them, like mobsters, like teenagers who are like, I don't know, 17 to like 19, maybe 20. And there was like 20 of them, and they were like marching straight to me, and I could see like they're looking their face, they're looking for trouble, and they finally spotted me, and I didn't see them coming, and then they're all like rushing to me, and I'm like, holy hell. So I ran to my moped, and I tried to get the key, and the lock gets stuck, and I'm like, holy hell, like, oh no, like I don't have any pizza, so if they come, I cannot like give them the pizza and be like, guys, I don't have any money, just take the pizza and go. It's free. Take the drinks. I have nothing. So they will definitely like beat me up because I have nothing to provide. Maybe my cell phone, which was really crap. And I'm just like jiggling, with the keys, and I cannot get it open. And finally it opens, and then I just like throw everything in the back, just turn it on, and I turn around and I go the other way. But it was really close. They were like, I don't know, 5 meters away from me. I'm really glad I didn't start running.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, good story.
So what we'd like to do now is obviously had a really good episode because it's been so interesting having you on to our podcast.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do is give either final thoughts to our listeners. If you were to go ahead, obviously we had a bit of discussion, obviously what you would suggest for like myself, but if you're as a general listener, or if you're new to investing, or you've just started a full-time job and you're like, but you're not enjoying it, and they're actually realizing a business might be for them, what would be your sort of final thoughts for people to just take on advice for them to do?
Final thoughts.
Do you have any like maybe resources as well that obviously you've gone to seminars and stuff like this and conventions. Do you have anything that you
Okay,
would
yeah. So
be?
if you want to do property, definitely look up Samuel Leeds. He's a big YouTuber, big persona in the property space in the UK. And then I personally met up with another coach who's closer to Edinburgh, so you might be able to get this guy on the phone or speak to him in person on some of his coaching. He's based in Newcastle. His name is Tom Heaney. I can write down later for you, so you can
Yeah, that'd be great.
link to his
We'll put it in the
website
description.
in description.
Yeah, we'll do that.
If you want to do FBA, yeah, look up Vlad or one of their retail or online arbitrage FBA groups. Yeah, there are loads of resources online, so just just use Google and go for it. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid. And I would like to also reply to the question Gregor asked beforehand. You asked me the percentage of income you should invest. So you should you heard this thousands of times on Instagram or YouTube or Reels. They say only invest what you're willing to lose. Yeah, it is true. It is true because I have some of my money in crypto or stock market, and it goes down. And if I was to need this money, I would have to sell with loss. So, but at the same time, if you don't come from wealthy background, you really have to go for it. Like 10-20% is not gonna cut it. Sorry to but yeah,
Yeah.
like if you want it, either you gotta give it the length, the years, or if
Yeah.
you want it fast, you gotta give it more risk. You're gonna all the money you save, you gotta chuck it in. But hey, never burn out. It's supposed to be fun, so let me just flip up the energy and end up on a high note. It's supposed to be fun, so you do it for fun. If you feel like you want to go somewhere, or if you feel you want to buy something, buy it, because you gotta treat yourself right, and you gotta respect yourself for what you're doing. You respect your body, respect your mind. So this is not just your slave, this is you, and you're supposed to have fun with yourself. So
You always bring the other side of it, which is how to have a good time, right?
yeah,
That's what life is about.
that's
So
what it's all about. Yeah. And I definitely well, guys, thanks again for having me on. And I definitely plan on coming back to Scotland, see Edinburgh, and when I come in, we definitely go for dinner or a couple of drinks.
yeah, I mean, we'll drink some dinner on us for this episode. So
Krystof, we'll
We
take
will
you
see.
to our first
We'll see.
property. That's what we'll.
Thanks. Speak to you later, guys.
Thank you.
see you later.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good
Cheers.
one.